What's poppin', people? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I know a bunch of you have seen the GraceNovamon deck profile. It has been doing numbers, and I did promise you that we get to see it in action. And what better than to see it against the other most common type of GraceNova in the boost formula. There's still a couple of spicy decks in here from KnTElixar. It was kind of built for Ultimate Cup, but he ended up not playing in the restricted format Ultimate Cup. He's going to keep his red source here with the Sunmon to go into red memory boost going second, and then going to go into an Uko, which would then turn off the red source. And it looks like he's just going to play the blue tamer, is going to pass over to 3 thanks to the mem setter, and we're going to go to 4 off the Corona. Lekis going to come down for 2, and we do check the top. So we are going to get a guaranteed Lekis, because it is our Nightclaw target, and then it is what we want for the Light Fang. I'm going to take Apollo and send Flare to the bottom. This footage a little bit slower than the usual speed that we're at, just because there's a lot of moving parts here, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit more time to digest what is going on. Gonna see Gurimon turn into an Ukomon, both of us on that same 3-2 Sunmon Gurimon egg split. My list has been something that we have been collectively working on for a long time. Nice little boost into drop the level 5 is very clean. Sometimes just doing that to drop a Cressa can be incredibly disruptive, but here just chooses to take 2 4s off the board with the Flaremon. And actually, interestingly, because we don't have an egg here, it's actually going to cause some complications in a little bit. Even if we use the Lunamon effect to degenerate here and print to memory, we're going to have to pay that memory back, draw for Evo, and then we are going to double hit into the 5s, but we can't pay for the 5s as cleanly as we'd like. We've only got 1 memory, and we're trying to keep the number small. Coronamon in the back, and we're going to go for a Goodnight Moon, which lets us stun 1 Tamer and 1 Digimon. So we'll stun the Flaremon because it can evolve and potentially be a problem, and we'll stun the Scion Co, so if he does manage to go for a Degenerate play or something like that, isn't going to get that extra memory off it. Also, getting a second Mem Tamer out means that we can extend harder in the future. Would have loved to see the blue Tamer, so that way we could play out the Firemon, but instead we're just going to go for the Ko and Sayo. Lekis comes down on its own, because it seems like we are missing an evolvable rookie. Ukomon is nice, but it's not an Evo pass, so you kind of just use it as a slight extender that can swing at security and can trigger a Blast Evo. We'll strip out the 2 sources, and it looks like we're going to bounce the Lekis back to hand. Lekis can't actually swing this turn, so maybe we could have bounced the Uko to take some time off, but we don't want that. We don't want the Lekis turning into something, and we're going to have to see the Cressamon dropped in order to get this stun on the Zudomon, as Cressamon just stuns anything regardless of what sources you've got. Gain 1 off of the Corona, and we're going to immediately spend 2 to get a double hit. We'll take the Fire, and we'll take the Lekis, sending Diana to the bottom. And I think that means we're going to be hard committing to this left stack, as it is the one that can do stuff. Thinking about going into Cressa, but instead we're going to Degenerate with the Coronamon Inherits to go into Fire, and then because a card went under, Sunmon triggers, getting us to evolve. We'll go for the double hit once again, and now we'll go into the Cressa to stun the Flaremon. Ko and Sayo puts 1 under, and we're going to go back into a brand new Cressamon, stun both. Just checking the sources, because Apollomon for every 3 get the value. So now we're going to play the Searcher for 1 because it's our only Searcher, and then we're going to go into Apollo, which is going to swing for 3 checks. On the first one, it is going to pop a Digimon, we'll pop the Cressamon, and we will get those extra checks off. But unfortunately, since we did hit the mem setter, we're not going to be choking to 1, and Trix can play the game here without going crazy on the memory. But even then, he's in kind of a little bit of an awkward situation. An evolve for 4 here basically would have been the same, even if we did hit the boost. So instead, he is actually going to drop a boost. And then it looks like we are going to evolve into a Dianamon to try and set up a blocker. I'm going to strip up the Coronamon source here, so that way we can't do the Degenerate to gain 2 memory. I'm going to hatch, no start of mains on field. We're going to put a Lunamon in the back. Alt-Art for Alt-Art. I'm going to use Ko and Sayo to put Apollomon to the bottom. From day to night, we cycle and strip that last source. And let's cycle back to daytime and punch the daylights out of that security. Dynamon no longer able to block, and it is going to disappear, and we're going to have Zudomon take game 1. going second, so we're going to go into our second game, keeping a very risky hand as we're going to see TommyTricks open up nice and quick with a Lunamon and an Ukomon. You can kind of see in game one how the difference between boost versus draw power. Mine isn't on boost, so you're not getting as many cards revealed, but you reveal enough off of the 4s and you draw enough raw thanks to the ADR Searcher. And whilst in Japan, the boosts were the best converting list just off of the data provided by our Ultimate Tier member, the Tommy NT, co-host of the podcast. Shout out to him for that info. We kind of just aren't as much of a fan of the boost here because the draw power is insane. You got to see boost into drop a 5, which was quite nice, but just in terms of seeing your cards as soon as possible, the draw power comes up quite clutch. Also getting stuck on Ukomon because not having those evolvable rookies is kind of unfortunate, but it kind of just is how it is right now. You have to kind of pick your poison. You can either go Uko for the extra extension, or you could go on to the Veemon rookie, so that way you've got a red evolvable source that you can climb up on, but you don't get as much value off of it. Okay, I'm gonna hatch into Sunmon and go into Corona, thanks to Ukomon seeing out that new source. So you're just trying to figure out a little bit of memory here. If the Flaremon sticks around, we are in trouble. We could try and play for 3, but the Apollomon will just come down with a Blitz and it'll blow us up. I think we're willing to pay for that though. We're just trying to fish for some resources here. Both Ukomon's going to fire, so a 1 choke becomes a 3, and then going to use the Sio straight away, drops it, and gets the value straight back off of the Lunamon and its own inherent firing. Going to pop the fire with the Flaremon. And we're going to go into Apollo choking to 2. And this is going to be swinging for 3 checks. First check pops the Uko, and the remaining checks clears us down to 2. Going to push up Coronamon with no extra value here. Going to go into a Lekis. That is a rough hit. Just finding the single piece. We're going to go into Flaremon, bottom deck 2. Going to use Coronamon effect in order to go into one more. And we're going to go into the Firemon, which does find the Goodnight Moon. But unfortunately, these are just really unfortunate hits. It's the Lekis finds only reds and the Fyra finds only blues. So, I'm just going to go into Cressa to stun the Apollo. It doesn't matter though. He's 14k. We've got a plus 2k check. We're going to stun the Ukomon. We're going to go into Flaremon. It's going to be only 2 checks. Just going to figure out who he's going to stun. Alright, we are going to kill the Apollomon because it's equal to. He declines to do anything off of the Goodnight Moon, but we hit a second one on the check, so it's basically the same thing. We're going to get that bounce cycle, and I think we're pretty cooked. Lekis is going to find it. We're just going to do shiny upgrade, smiley face. His smoke too different, his swag too clean. Going to hit 2 off of the Firemon, and then Sunmon is going to reduce the cost of the Evo instantly by 1. But we'll gain the memory first, and we're going to go for 0. Alright, we're going to stun the Apollomon. So that will not be swinging next turn. Can't be turned sideways. And then Apollo is going to swing, and Apollo has it, and is going to pop. Ooh, going to go into Blitz Omni to close things out. Okay, I'm just a feral animal, so I'm like, I should not take this, but this hand is keepable if I rip a rookie off the top. And I play like just a freak. So I apologize for people that are deck building and just not finding as the exact same success. I still think the list is very consistent and just shows some pilot skill, but man, do I play like an asshole sometimes. Self-described feral animal needs to be put down by, well, not self-described, described by DHM, another one of our channel members. I just play like an animal. Speaking of, we are going to go for a 1-check Apollo that hits in, and we are not expecting it to stick around next turn. We've passed him 4 memory with a mem setter, so he's going to go up to 5 off Corona. You know, in fact, that's all 3 channel members mentioned. Find ways to sneak them in. TommyTricks. Also supporting the channel as a member, supporting the channel by providing some sick-ass content. Gonna hit double here. We're gonna take the Coinsio because he has to, and then it's whether he wants a Lekis or a Goodnight Moon. Gonna take the Goodnight Moon. Sunmon, gonna force the Evo straight away. Oh, that's gonna clear the Ukomon, just to try and slow us down a little bit more. Now we're gonna use the Coronamon effect. So gonna go into Cressamon, is gonna stun the ADR Searcher. Not that it was gonna be swinging at security or anything anyway, can't attack players. Oh, you can see he's thinking about it. He's on 4 memory, so we're gonna go for a Goodnight Moon instead. And then he gets to clear it, because start of my turn plays out the Flaremon. So that's what the blue tamer does. It plays out one of the same level, and he decided to stay on a 5 here. Something that we've actually spoken about, and I think is very, very important, is recognizing when is a good time to do things like that. We're gonna go effect to place the Apollo to the bottom. I'm gonna go into Diana, stripping all the sources, and well, all but one source, and then we are going to, well, I mean, it's not gonna get the stun, and at the end of our turn, the Flaremon is gonna bounce back to hand off of the Sayo effect. Got a Lunamon in the back and a Cressamon. We're gonna degenerate into a Lekis and go into a Flaremon, and we're going to gain an extra memory off of the Sayo going sideways. Now have a Mem Setter, and we do have a Coronamon in the back. We have our Dianamon stunned by his Dianamon, and he's going to go into Ko in order to degenerate down, go into an Apollo, and we can no longer go sideways for the block. As he does go for the blitz, he is going to swing in. First check, pops the Apollo, and he's going to hit a second Coronamon. So now we've seen 3 of them. Going to go into GraceNova on the start of our turn with the co-effect, and it just gives him a slightly more belligerent blocker that's much harder for us to clear. He's given us 4, and we are going to go into 5. We're going to go Rowdy Rocker in order to load up a Coronamon. He's so clean with it. He is going to find it off the Gurimon, giving us the extra draw. And it finds the Firemon we need. It's Feast or Famine, and we are eating here in finals. I'm going to take the Lunamon and send the other 2 targets to the bottom. And this is where that rowdy stuff comes in. We are going to get the stun onto the GraceNova, because we don't care how many sources it has. It is not going sideways. He could be stupid, and he's thinking about it. Ko and Sayo. Is it Ko and Sayo, or do we just use either of the... Are we doing something stupid? Okay, I think we're figuring out whether we should actually use the Ko effect and whether we should just use Coronamon. We have 2 inherits. We are just going to go for 1 Flaremon. Draw. We're going to go Diana just to get the source strip and stay as a big-ass blocker. 14k. Gonna bounce that shiny-ass GraceNova to hand. He's got a lot of memory now to play with. Gonna go into Lekis, and you can see the Phobos here. And that is a tech that we were not ready for. Gonna degenerate, gain a boatload more memory back. And I think he's just gonna try and set up a 4 and Phobos here. Ooh, just gonna go Phobos straight away. Clears the lowest stack, or the lowest DP Digimon. And recurs a body, which obviously, since we've gone single stack, means we are going to get cooked by the Phobos, and that puts us really far behind. You saw we had to basically anime Destiny draw that way out. Drew 2 off the Rowdy, and the +1 off of the Guri kept us safe. Alright, start of my turn. Gonna play out the Lekis from Sources to recur 1, and is gonna double hit off of it. Plenty of cards cycled there, and we're once again very far behind. We know if we drop anything small, we are going to just get cooked on the crack back. We're going to play a Sayo, and then we're going to use the Zudo Ace in order to strip 2 sources and bounce the target that had no sources. Then, at the end of our turn, the other Fire bounces back. So now he's cycled pretty hard out and has to go into a Rookie and Raising. So that buys us an extra turn of tempo here. And this back and forth tennis match of just clearing each other's boards continues once more. Gonna go into a Lekis here, and I think he's gonna try and fish for a Cressamon so the Cressamon can get the stun. It is indeed gonna be a Cressamon to stop the Zudo from turning into an Apollo straight away and just clearing a body for a single check. If we push out the Luna and bounce the Zudo, we gain 2, then overflow 3. So we are effectively losing 1 memory for doing so, but it brings us back our hand trap. We're gonna go for Goodnight Moon, which is going to stun one of the memory tamers in order just to make it more difficult for him to get a free cycle. We're going to get the Sayo out here, and we also stun the Crescemon, which means he just has to work a little bit harder to climb the line. To my knowledge, he's not on any aces here, and you can see we're starting to count the deck here as we've had to go through so many evos. And if you keep having to use these 4s, if you're doing a good job of recurring them, you're actually also making it more and more difficult to actually do things here. We are going to go for a cheeky tech here where Ko goes sideways, degenerates one of your Digimon, and the other evolves without paying the cost, which is how he manages to evolve Flaremon here without having to do the reduced cost. And he could use the Sunmon effect in order to evolve reduced cost, go into a Diana for 3. And then you could Corona. As a reminder, he has used his Ko effect and the other one is stunned. So he can't just go for a second degenerate in order to try and get a clear. We're going to use the Corona effect as expected. I think he just wants to go into a Flaremon here so we can be as big as possible. Flare once again, 3 cards left in deck. And just playing that defensive game. I think the Zudo was really, really important. Speaking of, we're going to have Apollo swing in. First check. We're going to get ourselves an extra Tamer, but we're going to overflow 3. Lekis gets hit. And the question is, can he go into GraceNova without passing turn? He's going to go Ko here. Evolve into Diana. 2 cards left in deck. And as long as he does something that doesn't draw him extra cards... Oh, it's so close. Remember, we're pushing out a Lunamon with no cards left. He did clear our body, and he is going to go for the Corona, and we are going to, start of my turn, go into the GraceNovamon. 1 card left in security, 1 card left in his deck. We got to go Lekis here. And the game plan is absolutely not to play for security here. It's to make it so we don't die next turn. 3 bodies on board. Going to gain 2 memory off of the Tamer, as we then also gain off of the Lekismon. We do not know what we're looking for, so we're probably just going to take the 4s. Lunamon's going to get 0 value. It's not like we can load it off of a Rowdy Rock or anything like that. We've already used the Corona, so we have 2 extensions now in the form of Ko and Sayo. We're really just trying to figure out how much we line stuff up. And this is something that, you know, topical. We actually didn't see this much at Worlds, where just doing memory mapping on the board sometimes just helps. We're looking for a 5. I think we didn't realize we didn't have a 5, so Lekismon is going to whiff. Never mind, we find the Cressa, stun the GraceNova. Ooh, is this game on board? Ko and Sayo. Second Cressa. Stun the Lekis, and that leaves just Coronamon here. And there is a path to victory. We're going to Rowdy Rocker for the culture. You know you've got to flex the tech. We're going to put a Firemon under to draw us 2 extra cards. And that is going to find us an Apollomon. I'm also running low on cards, but I'm not quite down to 1. We're going to go in for an Apollomon, which passes 3. We are going to draw the first check. He is going to pop the Coronamon. And we are going to clear all but 1 security. Tied up a piece, and he draws his final card. 2 cards stunned. No hybrids in this list. And I think we're going to lock it up with a deck out. Gonna still see if we can figure something out, but I don't think there's anything more that we can extend. If you liked seeing GraceNova pop off turn after turn after turn in this head-to-head, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Just double check that you've clicked it, and maybe hit the notification bell as well. We are going to see the stun come out from the Crescemon, and also look forward to the podcast because we're going to be gassing this deck up. Go check out the deck profile if you haven't already. And, you know, post either the sun or moon emoji if you made it this far to where the game is clearly over. I appreciate you for sticking around. Let us know, sun or moon emoji, that you made it this far in the video. Or maybe you saw everyone else doing it and just want to copy paste. I'm on to some of you. But either way, there it is, the fist bump, the concede, and we are going to finish off finals with an undefeated record on GraceNova. Once again, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, make sure to like, subscribe, potentially join the membership program and support the channel, and we will see you in the next one.